Well, apparently we are now off and running. We should be streaming now, guys. Hey, hello there, everybody. John here for a special follow-up video. I'm tired. I don't know if you can tell, but I am really tired. We had our Disney Studios presentation today. Hello, guys. Let me just say this up front. I am streaming this live from my hotel room right beside the Anaheim Convention Center where D23 is being held. So I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that the video and the audio work and that everything goes the way it's supposed to be. So I hope this is working for all you guys. I hope that it's working and that we're streaming. It says that we're streaming. So hopefully we are. You guys are going to have to keep me up to date on if everything is working all right. A bunch of you guys are saying hello. Is it working? I hope it's working. Are you guys being able to see me okay? We got Haskell saying the video and the audio is working. So we are off and running, guys. All right. Again, I've got my trusty phone here. And my phone is going to, help me remember everything that happened because I tweeted everything. Absolutely everything, and hoping we are going to be able to go okay. Now, before the panel started today, and of course today's panel was not Disney Plus, it was Disney Pictures. So that includes Disney Motion Pictures, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Disney Animation. So they had a lot of stuff to cover here today. Before we started today, though, as I was sitting in the panel waiting for it to start, I put up a poll. And my poll that I asked you guys is, quick poll, do you guys think, let me see if this will focus or not, do you guys think that they'll announce that a Marvel Spidey deal has been reached? And they did not. Despite reports that you may have heard saying that a deal was reached, no deal was reached. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk about the two biggest things here first. As a matter of fact, as Tom Holland, who was on stage with Chris Pratt to talk about their upcoming Pixar film Onward, which looks really good, by the way. Not everything today looked great, but Onward looked really good. But Tom Holland came on stage with Chris Pratt, and you were kind of waiting for them to say something, but as Tom Holland was leaving stage, he stopped and he said, look, guys, I know there's been a lot going on this week. I just wanted to say one last time, I love you 3000. And then he walked off. And that was like, oh, so I guess no Spidey announcement? But then, even then, with him saying that, some of us started to wonder, are they saving one last big thing, right? Are they going to have one last big thing where Bob Iger or Alan Horn will come out on stage and as a one last thing, announce that a Spider-Man deal has been reached? Well, that didn't happen either. So there was that. Look, I'm going to talk about a couple specific things here. First of all, I got to say I was a little bit underwhelmed by the Marvel presentation. The Marvel presentation yesterday for Disney Plus was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Today, I mean, not really much. I mean, they brought out Ryan Coogler, which, I kind of expected they would do. And they announced the official launch date for Black Panther, which was, May 6th, 2020? I want to say that it was May 6th, 2020. Let me just see if I can find it here. Black Panther 2, yes. Black Panther 2 release date, May 6th, 2020. They really didn't talk about anything, though. Kevin Feige was on stage with Ryan Coogler, and they teased a few things. Said, should we tell them the trailer? And Ryan Coogler's like, no, let's not tell them the trailer. Or shall we tell them the title? And Ryan Coogler's like, nah, let's not tell them the title. All right, so they didn't tell us the title. Then he said, Kevin Feige, should we tell them who the villain is? And Ryan Coogler was, nah, we shouldn't tell them that either. So basically, they didn't tell us anything. They told us that Black Panther 2 was coming, which we already knew. The one thing they told us that we didn't already know was that it was going to be on the release date, May 6, 2020. 2022. I kept saying 2020. I mean 2022. My apologies. Like I said, guys, I'm real tired. I'm really tired. Okay. So that was the one thing. The other thing they talked about was Black Widow. And they did show us some footage from Black Widow, which looked really interesting. The one thing that I came away with the footage from Black Widow was that this really is going to feel more like a Bourne Identity movie than a superhero movie. It very, very much had a spy movie kind of feel, an action spy movie feel to it, rather than a superhero movie feel to it, and that's probably appropriate. The one thing that we did learn was that the other girl in the movie is playing her sister. So it is Natasha and her sister. And I'm guessing that the dude from Hellboy, why am I forgetting David's name? Anyway, the dude from Hellboy, I think he's playing their dad? Or at least a father figure? Anyway, so there was a little bit of that. And yeah, so somebody's asking, John, I thought Rob and Chris were going to be D23. No, Rob was never going to be here. Rob was never going to be here. Chris Carr, who I just left, was not able to get into the panel. We got her media credentials, but remember yesterday I was telling you that I had a nightmare of a time trying to get in? Poor Chris was walking around there since 7:30 this morning, and she kept getting redirected to different places, and then finally when she got to the place she was supposed to be, they told her, at this point, you're probably not going to get into the panel. So now, unfortunately, I had this reserve thing, and I requested one for her, and unfortunately, Disney told me that the outlet can only get one reserved band, but we did get media credentials for her, so if Chris had been there early enough, she could have got into the panel, but because they had such terrible coordination here at this thing, it took me 80 minutes to get to my seat yesterday, and today, because of all the terrible communication amongst their own staff, the fact that the staff didn't even know where they were supposed to be sending people, she was not able to get in line in time. Even though her media credential gets her in, she wasn't there in time to get in line early enough to get herself a seat. So unfortunately, Chris Carr, who is here, was not able to be in the panel. So I told Chris and her husband, Logan, I said, don't worry about coming to do the video with me because you got nothing to add anyway. Go enjoy yourself. Go enjoy D23. Go to Downtown Disney. Go do something. You guys just go have fun. I think me and Ann are probably going to catch up with her and Logan. Logan's her husband. I think Ann and I are probably going to go catch up with her and Logan for dinner later. But unfortunately, Chris could not get into the show because it's totally confusing. And it was not well executed. Just the administration of it needs to be tighter for next year, or for whenever they do D23 next. So unfortunately, Chris couldn't get in, so she's not here doing this with me. Anyway, back to Black Widow. Looks good. Looks good. Not thrilled. They didn't have the cast here for it or anything, but they sent in a little video hello, so that was nice. But other than the fact that they showed us a scene which looked really good, reminding me of the apartment fight scene in Atomic Blonde. So there's a fight between Natasha and her sister in the clips that they showed. That reminded me very much, like I said, of the fight in Atomic Blonde. So it looks good. And again, feels more like a Bourne movie than a Marvel movie, and that's probably appropriate. So yeah, I'm not super stoked for it or anything, but it looked good, looked solid, so there was that. Then the other Marvel film they talked about. They only talked about 3 Marvel films, all of which we knew about. And the other one they talked about was Eternals. Now, the big news about Eternals was that they confirmed 2 more staff or cast people. And they had the rest of the cast: Kumail Nanjiani, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek. Who is Rob Stark? I keep forgetting the actor's name who played Rob Stark. Anyway, who's playing Icarus? He was on stage. So then the announcement was they added 2 new cast. Gemma, what's her name again? Gemma Chan, who was, of course, already in Captain Marvel, but she's playing a different character in Eternals. So they confirmed Gemma Chan, and they confirmed Kit Harington. Of course, yesterday news broke that Kit Harington was going to join the MCU, and everybody started saying, we've got reports that he's going to play Moon Knight. And I tried to tell everybody, if he was playing Moon Knight, they would have brought him out during the Moon Knight presentation. He's not going to be playing Moon Knight. Anyway, I don't remember if they said what character he's playing, but they just announced that Kit Harington is joining Eternals. So there's that. You've got the Stark brothers are going to be in the Eternals again. Or together, I should say. But honestly, that was it. as far as the Marvel panel goes. Like again, yesterday's Marvel panel for Disney Plus was outstanding. We couldn't have asked for anything more. It was absolutely outstanding. I loved every second of it. The Marvel panel today was meh. I mean, we got, again, Kit Harington's going to be in Eternals, and so is Gemma Chan. That's interesting. We got a release date for Black Panther, but they didn't tell us anything else. But that's interesting. And then they showed us some pretty good footage from Black Widow. But, okay, and they told us, she's going to have a sister in it and all that kind. Okay, interesting. But, yeah, I got to tell you guys, I was expecting more. I didn't know what specifically they were going to talk about. I thought they would tell us more about the movies of 2022 and 2023, and certainly they did a little bit by talking about Black Panther. But I was expecting more. And they didn't give us more. So it was all right. The Marvel stuff was okay. There it was. Now, the Star Wars stuff was profoundly more interesting, if for no other reason than one thing. Now, J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy came out, and they're talking about, and they were really emphasizing, both Alan Horn, Kathleen Kennedy, and J.J. Abrams really were emphasizing a lot the fact that this is the end of this saga, the Skywalker saga per se. And J.J. mentioned that, it was really important to him that Carrie Fisher be a central part of this movie. And they talked again about how, they went back and mined old footage that they didn't use of her from The Force Awakens and all that kind of stuff. And that was interesting. But then came footage. Now, they're not calling it a trailer. But it felt like a trailer anyway. One of the Disney people said they originally planned on showing a trailer, but they didn't think they could get it ready on time, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, so they showed us some footage, and the footage all looked really good. Including a big shot of the big final at least I'm guessing it's the big final confrontation between Rey and Kylo. Who knows? Maybe it's early in the movie. We get some more of the Emperor's voice in the background, but the showstopper, if you want to get into Shawn Michaels' colloquialisms, the showstopper was easily a shot of Rey stepping out of the shadows with what almost looked like a Sith cloak. I'm not saying it was a Sith cloak, but she had the Sith cloak over her head, igniting a lightsaber, and then a second, and it's red, igniting a red lightsaber, and then a second red blade igniting. And everybody in the place was, what the hell? And yeah, now I don't want to read too much into it, but we're going to read too much into it. I don't want to read too much into it, but oh my dear heavens. Oh my dear heavens, that got a lot of people excited. Now, they also gave us a new poster, which I think looks great. It's got the silhouette of the Emperor in the background of it. It looks more like a poster for an animated film. It's a good poster, don't get me wrong. It's a good poster, and I'm not saying it's bad because it looks like a poster to an animated film, but it does look like a poster to an animated film, to be honest with you. But that looked great. Anyway, so that was it for Star Wars, and that was it for Marvel. But that doesn't mean they were done telling us about stuff. Okay, so let's go through here. The next thing they featured was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Jungle Cruise with Emily Blunt. They did something pretty neat. First, they just had Dwayne Johnson come out, so we didn't think Emily Blunt was there. And Dwayne Johnson's like, this movie's got everything. It's got the feel of an Indiana Jones, with a feel of Romancing the Stone, and most importantly, it's got me, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? Which was hilarious. And anyway, then they show a trailer. And the trailer for Jungle Cruise looks all right. It looks all right. It has its moments, right? So anyway, the trailer ends, and Dwayne Johnson's talking about, it was important to me to make a movie that captured the essence of the old adventure movies, and then he's interrupted by Emily Blunt. And this was the cutest thing. So Emily Blunt comes out, and she goes, what was that? everything was like, oh, the world is Dwayne Johnson. And she's going on, let's show them the real trailer. And then she shows another trailer for Jungle Cruise, this time very centric on her character. So it was a completely new trailer. So they showed us 2 trailers for the movie. And the second trailer, I gotta say, was a little bit better than the first trailer. I thought the second trailer was a little better. But again, not great. Still, you know, you get a movie with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt in it, and it's an adventure movie in the tone of a Romancing the Stone or a Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm going to be interested. So I'm interested in the film. I'm just saying that the trailers, plural, that they showed, while interesting, they didn't exactly blow me away. So that was Jungle Cruise. All right. Then they went on to, where are we going here? And by the way, the onstage banter between Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson was actually really fun. It was very, very funny. Then they talked about Maleficent 2. And look, I didn't like the first Maleficent. Everybody knows this. I didn't like the first Maleficent. They showed us a lot more footage. It looks pretty good. This new one, I gotta say this new one looks pretty good. And they brought out Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's like one of my favorite actors in the world right now. They brought out Michelle Pfeiffer. Like I said, guys, I'm tired. I'm sorry. Michelle Pfeiffer, Elle Fanning, and obviously Angelina Jolie, who came out for a second time. That's what I just said, second time, and I put up 3 fingers. Did you notice that? I am tired. Anyway, Angelina Jolie came out for a second time. It looked good. I got to tell you, I didn't like the first one, but this one looks pretty damn good. So I'm intrigued. I'm on board for Maleficent 2. Oh, then they talked about Mulan. Oh my God. The movie looks beautiful. They showed us some extended scenes, and just visually, it's breathtaking and it's really charming. And I was surprised to see how much of a pop the movie got. Like whenever they talked about Mulan, the audience went crazy. So the audience was clearly very excited about it, and that's great. And I thought it looked really good. Mulan looks really good, but from a visual point of view, the cinematography is the use of color. The colors are rich. And the landscapes are really the star of the show. It just looks gorgeous. Looks absolutely gorgeous. I was already looking forward to Mulan, but it's jumped up a couple of notches for me. So Mulan was a winner here today for sure. Then they talked a little bit about Cruella, with Emma Stone playing Cruella de Vil. They really didn't have anything to show us, and Emma Stone wasn't there. She was in London still shooting. They showed us our first still image of her as Cruella de Vil, and sure enough, she looks like a young Cruella de Vil. So, yeah, you know. I'm interested in the film, but nothing really interesting to report here. Then came Pixar time. Then it was time for Pixar. And the first thing they talked about was this movie, Soul. Now, I wrote this. The movie follows a middle-aged school band teacher named Joe who loves jazz. He loves jazz. And Joe is being voiced by Jamie Foxx. And he has dreams of being a performer. But then he has an accident, and he basically gets reduced to his soul. And the movie is very metaphysical. Like, I was not expecting this stuff. The movie is very, very metaphysical. And he meets this other soul named 22, who has been around for 70 years and has never wanted to go into the real world, right, and inhabit a body, if I understood it right. And that 22 is being voiced by Tina Fey, and I love Tina Fey. And they explore the cosmos and trying to come up with the meaning of life. And Rashida Jones, is it? No, Rashida Evans. Rashada Evans? The mom from the Bill Cosby Show. Anyway, and Creed's mom. Anyway, she plays Joe's mom, the voice of Joe's mom. Trying to remember who else was in there too. But anyway, it's an interesting voice cast. It's a very interesting looking film. Look, I have decided that I am no longer in the doubting Pixar business, because I've doubted some of their films before and I ended up loving them. So this one looks, like I said, very metaphysical. It's very different. So we'll see how that all kind of works out. Then they went on and talked about Onward. Now they started, which I thought was a very odd thing for them to do. They started the Onward presentation by showing us the trailer we've already seen. So I thought that was an interesting choice. Anyway, then they brought out the creators of the movie, And again, you guys know the basic gist of it. It's a magical world where magic isn't really around anymore. It's still inhabited by unicorns and elves and all these sorts of magical creatures, but there's not magic anymore. And the two brothers, who are voiced by Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, they came out on stage. And their mom, who's voiced by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who came out on stage with them, which was really fun. So they showed us an 8-minute clip. And basically it's their dad died before the younger brother was born. So the older brother, Chris Pratt's character, knew his dad a little bit, but the younger brother, voiced by Tom Holland, has never met their dad, and because the dad died before they were born. Anyway, they get this gift from their dad before he died that says, give this to my sons when they both turn 16. Or like once they are both at least 16, because the older brother's already been 16. And they find it's a magic staff with a crystal, with a special enchantment that will bring their father back to life for one day so their dad can see his sons. The problem is, as they cast the spell, it doesn't quite take, and they don't finish the spell, so they only get their dad back from the waist down. I know that sounds strange, but believe me, it's pretty damn funny and pretty damn charming. And it had a lot of fun and a lot of charm. Chris Pratt and Tom Holland on stage were great. Chris Pratt is great in front of a live crowd. Chris Pratt is wonderful. And so they were both on stage, and the audience gave them huge cheers, huge cheers. And again, that's the one when we were kind of half expecting, it's Star-Lord and Spider-Man. Kind of half expecting them to say something about Spider-Man. Tom Holland, it was either Tom Holland or Chris Pratt said, the last time we were on this stage, we were doing battle out there in the universe, and now we're doing battle in a magical land. And you're thinking, okay, any second now they're going to talk about Spider-Man, but they didn't. And again, the panel ended, or just before the panel ended, Tom Holland was walking off stage and stopped and said, guys, I know it's been a crazy week. I just want to say one more time, I love you 3000. And that was it. That's as close, guys, as they got to addressing the elephant in the room. Now, I told you guys, I said if they don't reach a deal, they ain't going to mention it at all from the stage. And they didn't. Tom Holland saying, I know it's been a crazy week, I love you 3000. That was the closest thing they came to addressing the Spider-Man situation. Now, I should say that just because they haven't reached a deal by today doesn't necessarily mean they won't reach a deal. There's lots of time. There's lots of time. Like I said, I think Disney needs to get their mouse-shaped ears out of their asses and make a deal. And there's still time for that to happen, and I believe it can. But yeah, absolutely, nobody say a word about Spider-Man. Nobody said a damn thing. But there was that. But Onward looks really good. Onward actually looks really, really good. Okay, what else do we have next year? Next studio up was Disney Animation, and the first thing, guys, other than Rey with the double red lightsabers in a Sith cloak, the best thing from this panel today, in my opinion, is this new Disney animated film they've got coming called Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last Dragon. It's a little bit of a mixture of Mulan with Conan the Barbarian. Basically, it's a magical world of 5 kingdoms. And it's a world that was created by the dragons. But the dragons aren't around anymore. It's all just these 5 tribes, these 5 kingdoms of people. But now a dark force is invading the land. And there's this lone warrior. Her name's Raya. And this lone warrior who's out on a quest to find what can save their world. And a part of that is helping the last dragon reclaim her power. And the last dragon is being voiced by Awkwafina. Anyway, hearing the filmmakers talk about the mythology that they came up with for this, before they showed us a single frame, I'm sitting there listening to her describe this movie, and I'm like, I am fucking in love with this movie. Like, I didn't even see a single picture yet, and they were just talking about this movie for a few minutes and describing the mythology of it and the story behind it and the legend of it, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, this is the best fucking thing I've heard all. I was really excited by it. And then they go, okay, now let's take a look at Raya and the Last Dragon. And they showed us a few minutes of the film. Guys, this is, other than Rey with double-bladed red lightsabers, This was the best thing about this panel. I am so excited. There's not a single movie they talked about other than Star Wars. There's not a single movie they talked about, and this includes MCU. There's not a single movie they talked about that has got me more excited to see it now than this new Disney animation film called Raya and the Last Dragon. It looks fantastic. I can't wait for them to release some footage and stuff like that. But again, the thing that got me excited wasn't even the footage, it was the storytellers talking about it. And I just found myself getting so amped for it. Anyway, Raya and the Two Dragons, keep your eyes open for that. That was, to me, the highlight of, other than Rey with the red lightsabers, that was the highlight of me for the entire panel. Then they went on and talked about Frozen 2. And they put a lot into the presentation of Frozen 2. It was their final thing that they talked about. So they showed a number of clips from the movie. Then they showed one big song number of Elsa singing, and it was really good. And then they brought out the main cast, all the main cast, including Idina Menzel, or as John Travolta would call her, Adele Dazeem. And the 4 main cast members came out and did live this big song number from the movie with a light show and then autumn leaves falling from the ceiling onto the crowd and stuff like that. It was impressive, I gotta say. As far as showmanship goes, it was pretty impressive. So here's the funny thing. Going into the panel today, I bumped into one particular Disney rep who said, you know, did you enjoy yesterday? I'm like, oh, I had a great time. I thought the panel yesterday, the Disney Plus presentation was great. And he said, you haven't seen anything yet. Just wait till today. I'm like, oh. So I'm thinking new MCU movie announcements. I'm thinking Spider-Man deal. And, you know, unless he was talking about, and he might have been, unless he was talking about the Rey with the 2 red lightsabers or the double-bladed lightsaber, if that's what he was talking about, okay, I get that, because that was a showstopper moment. But if that's not what they were talking about, I don't know what they were talking about. Wait for it, because I'll be honest with you, the Disney Plus presentation was markedly better than the Disney Pictures presentation today. Not that the Disney Pictures presentation was bad. A number of very, very cool looking projects coming that I'm quite excited about. Some of them, meh. But overall, I don't know. I left a little underwhelmed. I mean, look, the crown jewels of Disney right now is Marvel and Lucasfilm. And you give us some really cool footage with a showstopper shot that was only about 1.5 seconds long of Rey with lightsabers. And then nothing really new in the MCU panel. Okay, Kit Harington's joined. Okay. All right, a release date for Black Panther 2, but we knew Black Panther 2 was coming. I don't know. And maybe my expectations got unrealistically misaligned because of the presentation they gave with Disney Plus, specifically Marvel, and their presentation, which was outstanding and fun and it's filled with surprises and whatever. But it was totally worth it for me to be there simply for that Rey with the red lightsaber shot and for Raya and the Last Dragon. Again, Onward looks really good. Soul looks very interesting. What was the other one I was thinking about here? Maleficent 2 looks, I'm on board. I'm on board for Maleficent 2. Jungle Book, or Jungle Cruise, I should say, you've got some work. You got some work to do to get, I think, people excited about it. Because I'm not tremendously pumped for that one myself. But overall, the panel was okay. The presentation was okay. Big song moments from a number of things. They did a better job with the Frozen 2 presentation than I thought. I'm actually finding myself getting pretty interested in Frozen 2. But if you had to pick a winner between the Disney Plus presentation and the Disney Studios presentation, the Disney Plus presentation was definitely the big one. That was definitely the big one. Anyway, guys, we're going to take the rest of our time here now to listen to what you guys want to say and what you guys want to talk about here, want to ask about the presentation I just saw. So let's jump over to the side-by-side here and get this rolling. Okay, first up, we've got Chris Hamilton who writes, Will the Disney Plus release the entire season of its shows like Netflix, or will they be released weekly like HBO? Has Disney commented on this? It's a great question, Chris. I don't think, as far as I know, they haven't commented on it, as far as I know. I could be wrong about that. I certainly think, or who was it that said somebody is going to be releasing the first 3 episodes and then week to week. Personally, I think the smart strategy is to do a week-by-week release thing. I mean, it's becoming obvious that's actually the best way to do it, even though I like it when they drop an entire season at once so I can binge it, but that's not what's best for the show. What's best for the show is to release it week after week after week to build buzz and build momentum and grow your audience. So I think what they should do is do a week-by-week release, but as far as I know, they haven't officially commented on that yet, but I'll keep my ears open. All right, Samuel C137 writes, per She-Hulk, I think either the distributor rights don't apply to TV streaming, or you're right and Universal just don't own the auxiliary characters. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be one of those two things. I mean, Universal and Disney did not come to an agreement over the Hulk. So it's either A, it only applies to Hulk, or B, the distribution rights are exclusively about theatrical, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because distributing, television is part of distributing. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's definitely a possibility. It's something we have to consider. All right, Jesse Lopez writes, is there still any hope for reviving the Marvel Netflix series? No, that's done. I know Marvel's been going back and forth with putting the shows on Hulu. I still want Charlie Cox to come back as Daredevil, no reboot. No, they're not doing that. They've made it pretty clear that the Netflix stuff is done. And I'm not necessarily happy about it, but I also don't necessarily think that's the worst thing in the world. Look, we got 3 terrific seasons of Daredevil. Like, I love them. I love them. But it's not the worst thing in the world that they now get to reboot it. So I think, Jesse, unfortunately, I think you're going to have to start wrapping your head around and start the healing process and dealing with the fact that it really does look like those Netflix shows are gone. And frankly, for a couple of them, good riddance. I mean, Iron Fist, good bye-bye. I thought Luke Cage had a lot of potential, and the first half of the first season was really good, but I thought the second half of the first season was lame, and I didn't like the second season, so bye-bye. I didn't like Jessica Jones. I know a lot of other people do, and that's great, but I'm more than happy to see it go. But, we got 3 great seasons of Daredevil. We got 2 great seasons of Punisher. And you know what? Maybe time for a fresh take. But yeah, no, I don't think there's any hope for those shows coming back but it's going to be rebooted. They're going to be rebooted characters, I think. Ryan Lohner writes, you know who could use a good lawyer like She-Hulk right now? Peter Parker. Yep. Maybe Peter needs a good lawyer. Maybe there's a match made in heaven. But, oh well, is what it is. Mike Hill writes, is it explained how the Emperor is back in Star Wars? Really intrigued to know. No. And I don't get the feeling that they're going to let us know any of that until the movie itself. I think that's something that they're going to save for the movie itself for us to discover and find out is in the film. So they didn't reveal anything today, and I don't expect they're going to reveal anything until the movie itself comes out. So we'll find out when that comes. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, the Swamp Thing guys are now saying, at least we're not Book of Enchantment. At least we're not Book of Enchantment. I don't know what that means. Sorry about that, Ryan. Noel Nguyen writes, first thought watching the Mandalorian trailer, porn in Star Wars must have a lot of categories. It's not taboo if it's on Naboo, Wookiee style, etc. I don't know, Noel, why your mind went to that. I'm not saying I didn't think that myself, but I think there's something wrong with you. And probably me too. So you're not wrong. Baxter Kirkdoffer writes, in the words of Rocket Raccoon, does anybody have any tape so we can fix this Sony and Disney situation? Yeah, again, look, I know some people are going to be disappointed that there were fake stories going around about, oh, Disney and Marvel have come to an agreement. I know there's going to be a lot of people disappointed that those stories were fake. But the fact of the matter is, it's not like D23 was some magical deadline. As long as there is time, there is hope. And right now, there's still time. There is still time for them to fix this, right? There's no rule in the universe that says, if you didn't come to an agreement by D23, you're not allowed to have an agreement. Nothing says that. So a deal can still get made. I'm not saying it will get made, but I'm saying I believe there's still hope. And we'll just have to wait and see. And so much for those a deal was reached stories. Anyway, where are we at here? Anthony Cullen writes, that episode 9 poster gave me chills. I like it. They actually, you know what? I'll go and grab it in a second. As we were leaving, they gave us each the new Star Wars poster. They also gave us the new Onward poster, and they gave us each the new Frozen poster. They all look really good. I'll go grab them in a couple of minutes. Pardon me. I'll go grab them in a couple of minutes and pop them on so you guys can see them. Although I'm pretty sure they're probably available online for you to see at any rate. Okay. I really like that Star Wars poster, just with the Emperor's outline in it. I like that a lot. O+98 writes, hey, John. With Disney revealing what their plans are, do you fear Hamada and WB executives will feel forced to do something quick to catch up with them? No. Because here's the thing. What do you mean catch up with them? It's not like they're in a race. It's not like if Disney succeeds, we can't succeed. No, they can both succeed and they can both completely work on their own timeline. However, as in any good competition, I'm hoping Hamada and WB, who, by the way, I think Warner Brothers and Walter Hamada with the DC Universe right now are on a good path right now. Again, Aquaman, big success, billion-dollar film, pretty fun movie. Then we had Shazam, which I think is an outstanding movie. Not just good, I think Shazam is outstanding. Now we got another Patty Jenkins directed Wonder Woman movie coming. We know what Patty Jenkins can do with Wonder Woman. So I actually think DC's on a really good path right now. That said, it's always good when competition sees their competitors doing something really great. And hopefully that inspires them, that makes them feel like they got to up their game too. But it's not like they're any kind of race. One doesn't have to catch up to the other. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking they're looking at what Disney's doing going, wow, the bar is high, guys. The bar is high. We got to up our game. But it's not about catching up or anything like that. So, but hopefully they'll be inspired. Hopefully they'll be inspired. All right, Chris Warden writes, I hope Disney will continue to shoot future X-Men films in my hometown of Victoria, BC. After all, it's been the home of the X-Mansion for 20 years. By the way, they shot a lot of the X-Men stuff in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada as well. They shoot a lot of X-Men stuff, or they have shot a lot of X-Men stuff in Canada. I don't know that Disney does a lot of shooting in Canada. I know Warner Brothers does. Disney's been shooting a lot of their stuff in Atlanta. But with all the political stuff going on, they might pull their productions out of Atlanta. I don't know. Hopefully they'll move it up to Canada, though. I sure hope they do. Let's see. Angel Chang writes, man, I wish that Black Panther sequel was 2021. Well, we knew it wasn't 2021, right? Because at Comic-Con, Kevin Feige said, this is Marvel Phase 4 as far as the theatrical goes. And they didn't mention Black Panther. So we knew Black Panther was either coming in 2022 or 2023. What I don't understand is, look, we know that we're getting Captain Marvel 2. We know we're getting Captain Marvel 2. We know they're doing a Doctor Strange 2. It's been in the news. They've got the director back on. They're already writing the script, all that kind of stuff. So why not at least talk about those? You know what I'm saying? Why not at least talk about those? Why not bring out, you know, somebody, one of the directors or something like that, and just at least acknowledge it? I mean, you didn't do much with Black Panther 2. All you did with Black Panther 2 was you brought out the director to acknowledge the launch date, to talk about the premiere date. And okay, if that's all you're going to do, why not at least, you know, bring out, and you guys have heard Doctor Strange, and, you know, I don't know why they didn't do that. It just seems like an opportunity lost. It's not a big deal, especially when you consider that they did talk about Black Panther 2 and didn't really tell us anything. So, whatever, is what it is. Okay. But like I said, Angel, we knew it wasn't coming in 2021. So it coming out in 2022, I think, was the earliest date we were going to get. At least it wasn't any later than that. Samuel C137 writes, so, did Disney let Holland give that nod because the deal is dead for good, or because they are still negotiating and just can't say anything else yet? Well, no. See, here's the thing, Samuel. nothing is ever dead for good, all right? As long as there's time, there's hope. It doesn't matter if Alan Horn and Tom Rothman ended their last conversation by both giving each other the double F'ers and saying, I hope you burn. It doesn't matter. Even if that happened, all it takes is one of them to pick up the phone again and say, let's keep talking. That's all it takes. So, again, the word Spider-Man was never spoken. You know, it would have been so incredibly awkward. I think letting Tom Holland say, I know it's been a crazy week, I just wanted to say I love you 3000. Not allowed to say Spider-Man, not allowed to say anything else, but I think if they didn't at least at the minimum let him do that, it just would have felt very awkward. And it did. It already felt awkward. I think it just could have felt even more awkward if they didn't let him do that. So I don't think either of those scenarios are true. I don't think it's dead for good, and I don't think they're on the verge of signing a new deal either. I just think hope is still alive. Hope is still alive. Doesn't mean the deal's going to get made. It's starting to look like maybe it won't, but it still could. You know, you got smart people on Marvel's side, you got smart people on Sony's side. These are companies that make a lot of money, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay. We move on now to Jesus Pineda Ramirez, who writes, John, do you think Galactus is the next bad guy? No, I don't. He could be. That is a possibility, but I don't think so, because here's the thing. Kevin Feige has said many times he already had his next 10 years, or his next 5 years at any rate, mapped out before the Fox deal. And he has said he's made no material changes to his plans, even with the Fox deal. So that tells me that Galactus, pardon me guys, that tells me Galactus isn't on the books. It doesn't mean it's impossible though. I would personally, I don't know how Galactus makes a good bad guy, to be honest with you. Like, what are you going to do? Who's going to go and punch Galactus in the face? I am very unpopular amongst my own friends to say, I'm actually not interested in Galactus. I'm not interested in Galactus. But I have a lot of my friends who very, very much are, so whatever. So Galactus is a possibility, but no, I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be. But it's possible. I just wouldn't put money on it at this point. JCL writes, you're the king of Westeros, John. Who do you choose to be the hand of the king out of Rob, Chris, Aaron, and why? Why? The other two become your enemies that you fight. Well, I mean, the hand of the king's got to be Rob. It's got to be Rob. Why? He's been with me the longest. I trust. Look, I love Aaron. I've known Aaron longer than I've known Rob, but I've been working with Rob a lot longer, right? I've known Aaron for 10 years. Me and Aaron, we met 10 years ago at Comic-Con, and we have been, we just clicked ever since. And we've just had a really great relationship. I love Erin deeply. And her husband, Tom, is a really cool, at his core, the nerdiest of... You'd look at her husband, Tom, who was in that TV show Limitless. And you look at Tom, and he's this big, chiseled jaw, Hollywood movie star, like really big muscular dude. You would never guess that underneath all of that, he is the hardest nerd core of nerdiest of nerdom that you're going to come across. The dude is a total geek. He is a total geek. He comes over to my house once in a while, he'll come over and he'll look at my Pops and go, oh my God, and he'll point at one of the characters of the Pops. Did you know that in 1992 they did this with this character and blah, 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 blah. Like he just freaks out and geeks out. I don't think Aaron lets him have all the geeky stuff in his house that he wants. I totally get that impression. I totally get the impression that Aaron doesn't let him fully blossom in his nerddom. And I feel like when he comes over to my place or when we're out together, that Aaron kind of has no choice but to let him nerd out a bit because he and I can talk about a lot of the nerdy stuff. And she's just kind of like, a little bit. But her husband's great. I love Tom. He's wonderful. Anyway, but I have worked with Robert the longest. So if the John Campea Show were Westeros and I had to have a hand of the king, it would be Robert. And that's no dissing on Aaron or Chris at all, who I love them both dearly. I said I'm probably going to have dinner with Chris and her husband tonight. Yeah, it would be Rob. All right. Ladislav Misanik writes, between the Celebration Star Wars Episode 8 poster and the D23 Episode 9 poster, why are the official posters in theaters so terrible? I don't know that they're terrible. But like going back to Episode 8, you're right. The Star Wars Celebration poster that they put out for Star Wars Episode 8 in Orlando was fantastic. And it was better than the theatrical poster. It was. It had the lightsaber down the middle with Kylo's face, Luke's face, with Rey down the bottom. I mean, it was artistically beautiful and filled with symbolism. It was wonderful. Far better. And I don't mind the Star Wars Episode 8 poster. I don't. But that one that they gave out at Celebration was vastly superior. And I really dig this poster too. Again, it looks to me like it's to an animated movie, but that aside, I think it's still a really good poster. So who knows? Maybe they'll stick with it, or maybe they have a better one on the horizon. All right. Ahmad Ismail writes, first we lose Nano Man, then we lose Nano Jr. Oh, you're talking about nanotechnology. It's magic nanotechnology. Yeah, so it looks like we lost them both. But again, don't forget, there's still hope. There's still hope. Trevor Massey writes, with the new Star Wars footage you've seen, do you have any new theories about the movie? What was the room like? Thanks, John. P.S. That poster. Yeah, I like the poster a lot. The room was hopping. The room was filled with sparks. The audience, but I mean, you come to expect these things are love fests, right? Comic-Con, Star Wars Celebration, D23, these sorts of things, they're love fests. But yeah, make no mistake about it, like, whenever they talked about Star Wars or an image of Rey came on screen or whatever, the audience lost their minds. They were all going crazy. I mean, obviously, the element that would make us reevaluate any theories we had going into Star Wars Episode 9 was that image of Rey with the red lightsabers, dressed in a dark cloak over her face. I mean, just how much, I mean, clearly the Emperor wants Rey. And maybe he wants both. And maybe he sees Rey and Kylo as both as potential new apprentices. I don't know. But that's the thing the most. So now I've got to believe that it's not just Resistance versus First Order versus the remnants of the Imperials under Palpatine who's kept them all hidden. I don't know. By the way, there was another great shot of footage where on one hand you see a bunch of Rebel fleet coming out of hyperspace, like this big Rebel fleet, and then it cuts to this other thing with like 50 Star Destroyers. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, yes. Like, I mean, that was very exciting. That looked really, really cool. But then that was instantly topped, of course, by Rey with the red lightsaber. So, I mean, a plot of, of Palpatine trying to do what he couldn't do with Luke, to try to lure Rey over to the dark side. Does he get further with her? I mean, I don't know. I mean, so that's the thing that's got me questioning a lot of stuff right now. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Samuel C137 writes, Deadline report. Both Disney and Sony are so mad about the press around the story that it puts the idea of a new deal in further doubt. I'm wrong. I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, look, when stories get out, look, I'll tell you right now, Disney does not like hearing somebody like me. It's not me specifically. But Disney does not like seeing people like me, pundits, stuff like that, talking about what asses they're being. People at Sony do not like hearing people like me or other pundits and stuff like that talking about what jerk Sony is being. And I'm sure that's not helping the atmosphere in the room. But, I mean, our jobs is to talk about the stuff going on and the news that's out there. So that's what we do. It's their job to block all that out and get a deal done. But I mean, I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt for a second that all the media surrounding it is probably making it even, it's just probably making people sharpen their knives even more. But they've got to block that out. They got to be the big boys here. They got to sit down in a room, put on their big boy and their big girl pants, sit down in a room and hammer out a deal. Regardless of what people like I am saying, or regardless of what other people like me are saying, they've got to get this job done. So I'm sure they're not happy about it. I'm sure they're not happy about it. But tough. That's the business. Go do your job. Quit whining about what everybody else is reporting about it. Shut your mouths. Go sit in a room and sign a deal, because that's your bloody job. So I'm not going to feel any sympathy for them on this. No sympathy from me. Go do your job. That would be my message to Disney and Sony on this. Go do your effing job. Anyway, Initial D's writes, that poster for Rise of Skywalker is epic. I like it a lot. I mean, again, it's got an animated feel. You know what? You know what? Just give me a second here. The posters are right over there. I'm going to take my mic off. Give me 30 seconds here. I'm going to go get it. La 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 la. All right. So let's talk here about some poster action. I haven't pulled these out yet. So they gave us this package. This is big, by the way. Can't tell if you can tell. This is really big. So here we've got this pack, and you can see this is great. You see the face, which is obviously, I think, the Emperor there. I'm trying to get it so you don't see the reflection. But you see the Emperor's eyes there and all that kind of stuff. That looks great. Then there's a couple of others, too, which looked really good. So I haven't pulled these out yet. So here's one for Frozen. And I got to say, guys, honestly, I know it's not cool to say this as a guy. This looked pretty good. This presentation they gave for Frozen 2, I should say, actually looked pretty damn good. So, yeah, mark me down as impressed for it. I'm not saying I'm dying to see it, but it looked pretty good. And then they gave one here for Onward. Let's see if I can back up a bit. Which is real. They don't put the characters on there, which is good. By the way, the name of Chris Pratt's character's van is Guinevere, which I thought was hilarious. I don't know why. So that poster looked pretty good too. So those are the posters they gave us as we were heading out of D23, which looks pretty good. Let's see here. Let's keep moving on here. Sale, I'm sure I'm getting this wrong. Seal the Deal writes, I'll be honest, was a little disappointed with the Marvel panel. Oh gosh, my phone's ringing. What's going on? Hold on a second. Why is my phone ringing? Hello? Yes? No service needed today, thank you. Thank you. They just wanted to know if I needed house cleaning. Anyway, sorry. Didn't reveal much other than confirming a Black Panther 2 is coming. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Seal the Deal. I'm a little bit surprised. It's just that they clearly went the big extra mile for the Disney Plus presentation with their Marvel stuff. I didn't expect them to drop as much as they did with the Disney Plus presentation. I just thought they would put a little bit more effort into it. I mean, okay, yay, Kit Harington joins Eternals. Okay. Yay, a release date for Black Panther 2. Okay. That's all right. That's good stuff. And that's it? I mean, after everything you gave us for Disney Plus yesterday, I don't know. Like I said, maybe, you know what? Maybe if I didn't see the Disney Plus presentation and the bar wasn't set so high, maybe I would have seen the Marvel presentation today and going, okay, yeah, that was pretty good. But it's just that they gave us so much the day before, I'm just a little surprised they didn't do a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. So I was a little underwhelmed. All right. Initial D's writes, Welp, John, no Phase 5 news except Black Panther 2, no 2022 plus. I mean, well, 2022 is Black Panther, but I got to say, you guys know it. I've been saying it. I really believed. Again, nobody told me anything. This was just me speculating as a fan, but I really thought that we were going to get a lot more 2022 and 2023 news as far as the MCU goes. I really thought they were going to give us more. And they did not. So we got a release date for Black Panther 2. Yay! I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a nice piece of news. It's a good piece of news. But, I mean, when that's the highlight of your panel or of your presentation, the release date for Black Panther 2. I mean, it's not like we didn't know Black Panther 2 was coming. If they came out and said, we've been sitting on the information about whether or not we're making a Black Panther sequel, but now we can tell you we are. Well, we already knew that. We already knew. And all they give us is a date. Really? And Kit Harington joins Eternals. Okay. Well, you got 20 other cast members in there, and that's a nice piece of news. I'm happy to hear it, but it's not huge. It felt like it was a bit of a missed opportunity. Anyway, Daniel Attrill writes, Rey tease as a Sith is a misdirect, guarantee. Oh, I don't think so. Now, let me rephrase. That tease is, that footage is in the movie. But what that means, who knows? Who knows? For all we know, that shot of Rey with the red lightsabers is in a dark vision. Maybe it's just in a vision. Maybe it's somebody telling a story of what they fear could happen, and they show it, Or maybe it's Rey actually does turn to the dark side. Who knows? But it's not a misdirect in terms of like the Hulk being in the Infinity War trailers, that it's not even in the movie. This, I've been assured, is in the movie. What it is in the movie and what the context it is in the movie, we'll have to wait and see. But it is in the movie. So if you mean misdirect, like the Hulk thing, that it's not even there, I've been assured that it is there. So we'll see where that goes. All right. Froygon Jin writes, there are over 14 million outcomes to the Disney/Sony Spider deal. Bob Iger saw the one for Disney. We mere mortals cannot see it yet. Here's hoping. I mean, Bob Iger is a Gandalf. He's a wizard when it comes to this crap. So we'll see what happens. I'll be frank here. I'll be frank. You guys know I'm a fan of Disney. I'm a big fan of Bob Iger, and I'm a big fan of Alan Horn. I give Alan Horn a lot of crap with how he handled the James Gunn situation initially, and I stand by that. But it was really good to see that he came around. They hired James Gunn back, all that kind of stuff. But look, I get it. D23 is meant to be a celebration. I get that. And I understand that. And I agree with that in principle. D23 is meant to be a big celebration. And so you don't want to talk about downer stuff. You don't want to talk about failures. You don't want to talk about things that are going badly. I get that. But this is an exceptional situation. This Spider-Man, Sony, Disney situation is what I would classify as an exceptional situation. And the fact that you had Alan Horn himself on stage, the head of all Disney Pictures, on stage, and knowing that he's standing in front of 7,000 of the biggest Disney fans, to not even remotely address it, I'll tell you, I'm disappointed. I think he owed it to the fans to at least say, folks, a lot of news going around, and keep it light. A lot of news going around about Spider-Man, and all I can tell you is that there are some challenges facing us right now, but we're not done. We're not done. We're still working, and hopefully maybe we'll have something to tell you in the future. Maybe we won't, but I just want to let you know that we're still working. I mean, that's all. To stand there at this big event, D23, of which Marvel is one of your crown jewels, and you've got the head poobah himself, Alan Horn, on stage with 7,000 of the biggest Disney fans, and that's what everybody is thinking about in the audience. That's what everybody is talking about in the audience. Despite the fact that this is supposed to be a big celebration, to not respect the audience enough to just go, hey guys, listen, I know there's been a lot of stuff in the news regarding Spider-Man in the last few days, and a lot of it not very fun sounding stuff. all I want to say is that we at Disney love this character, and we're still working. We're still working. That's all, and that's our message to you, our fans today, is that we're still working. Just say something like that. Don't commit to anything. Don't make promises you can't keep. Nothing like that. Just say, we at Marvel and Disney love Spider-Man, and we're still. Just say something. Just address it. Pretend for a second like this is something that everybody there is actually thinking about. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting them to come out and give a 15-minute presentation on what's going on with them and Sony, but just acknowledge it. To me, I don't know, I took it as a little bit of disrespectful towards the fans, who clearly were not stupid. They're all there thinking about it. Just acknowledge it, saying, hey, you heard what's going on, we love the character, and we just want to let you know that everybody's working very hard behind the scenes. And now let's talk about Disney animation. Just a little something. I thought that would have been appropriate. And I don't know. Maybe having Tom Holland say what he said was maybe their little bit of approach at that. And I can respect that. I just feel like you've got the man himself. You've got Alan Horn on stage. The boss of the bosses. On stage. The guy Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy all report to and bend a knee to. You've got Alan Horn there. Have him say something. I just think it would have been nice. I just think it would have been nice. But whatever. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I just think it would have been nice had they done that. Okay. Daniel Atrill writes, is Phase 4 being mostly Disney Plus shows a good idea? Well, I mean, look, I don't know that Phase 4 is mostly Disney shows. Yeah, just because there's a lot of Disney shows doesn't mean the weight of the emphasis and the importance is on the Disney shows. We won't know that until we start seeing what's unfolding, right? So if we see over the next couple of years that all the major important events in the MCU happen in just the Disney Plus shows, that'll mark a changing of direction. I suspect that we're going to get really great stuff in the Disney Plus shows, but I suspect also that the biggest events in the MCU are still going to happen theatrically. And that's really where the MCU ship is going to be steered. Now, we're going to have to wait a couple of years to find out if that's the case or not, but it might be something different. Initial D's writes, please get some rest, JC. We need you ready for the John Campea Show. Yeah. You know what? Actually, speaking of getting some rest, Ann and I decided that I booked the hotel, and Anne's coming out to meet me today, actually. She should be walking through the door any minute now, to be honest with you. She should be arriving here in Anaheim. And we decided that I was going to book the room for 2 nights. So I had the room last night, and we're going to have it tonight too. And Anne and I are going to spend some time at Disneyland today. We're going to go to downtown Disney. We're going to go around downtown Anaheim a little bit. And we're just going to relax, eat some good food, go hear some live music, and get a little bit of R&R before we get right back to it for the John Campea Show on Monday. And we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about on Monday. But thank you for the well wishes, Initial. I appreciate that. Frank Gradia writes, Harrington will play Black Knight. Maybe, and maybe they announced that and I just didn't catch it. I don't know, maybe. But he'll play somebody. Anchor 654 writes, Episode 9 poster reminds me of the blue veil fire from Palpatine in World Between Worlds. That's true. Thanks for your coverage and hope you're having a great time at D23. I'm having a good time. I'm exhausted. I do have to take some better care of myself. I have not been getting a lot of sleep the last few days. Just been too busy. But I think that after I'm done this live stream, I think I've got about 36 hours that I can just relax and spend some time with my wife. And I'm looking forward to that. But I did have a good time. And holy crap, I don't know how many tweets. I have to go through and count out how many tweets I put out today. Oh, by the way, my friend at Disney, they just put out that picture of Emma Stone as Cruella de Vil. There she is there. Which, I mean, you can't see it in great detail. I just like the shot that she's got 3 Dalmatians with her. I think that's pretty cool as well. Okay. Let's see here. But it's a good observation about the World Between Worlds episode, because I don't think you're really wrong about that. Okay, next up. Ross Pitt Shark Hunter, I like that, writes, "Hey John, not sure if you know, but you look tired." Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am exhausted. I am thoroughly exhausted. It's not just, the being here wasn't just that. I'll let you guys in on a little something. I'm not going to tell you much. That on top of doing D23 and not having a lot of sleep, I've also been meeting with a number of people and just taking a lot of meetings that took me till like 2 in the morning last night, and then had to be up at 7 this morning. And then rush, so not eat, go to this panel, rush back here, do the live stream. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I'm having fun doing this. But I am tired. But thanks for pointing it out, Ross, jackass. No, seriously. Ross Pitt then follows up and writes, where are we at here? Ross Pitt follows up and writes, "Honestly, I'm still shocked Jungle Cruise is happening because out of all their attractions they could make a film about, not one I expected. But I'm still hyped because I love a good movie based on a Disney attraction." You know, I remember back in the day when they announced Pirates of the Caribbean and being one of those guys going, "What a stupid idea! Dude, what? You're making a movie based on a theme park ride where you just float through? That's stupid. That is stupid." Well, like $6 billion later, who was the stupid one? Now, granted, most of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies aren't that good, but that first one was great. I remember watching the first one and being so impressed and feeling so stupid because I thought it was such a bad idea. But it was great. And I feel the same way about Jungle Cruise. I don't know why you're making this movie. I really don't. But if what they wanted to do was make an Indiana Jones, Romancing the Stone kind of adventure film filled with comedy and romance and action, then Jungle Cruise is probably the one to do it based on. But again, I'm not super impressed by what I've seen yet, to be honest with you. It doesn't look bad, but I'm not super impressed by what I've seen yet. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. But you're right, there are probably some other attractions they could have built it on if they wanted to. Ben Rayner writes, "Are we going to be able to buy those posters? Do you know? Looks awesome." I honestly don't know. I don't know. I might maybe give them away as a giveaway. I might give those posters away as a giveaway. Just so somebody can get them and love them. So I don't know if they're going to be for sale. They didn't mention that. So we'll have to wait and see. Rachel Duncan writes, "Crossing my fingers for Namor or Storm in Black Panther 2 or both." I still don't think Namor is on the table. I don't think Namor is a possibility. Now remember though, I didn't think She-Hulk was really a possibility either. I still don't think Namor is a possibility. I don't think that they've cleared up all the hoops they've got to jump through for that. But, again, I didn't think She-Hulk was a possibility either. And here we've got a She-Hulk show coming. So, never say never. Keep hope alive. Storm, again, don't count on that because... Certainly not in Black Panther 2, because again, Kevin Feige has repeatedly insisted, my plans for the next 5 years were already set before the Fox stuff came into play. And I'm really not going to change my plans. So I really don't, and since that's the case, don't expect Storm. Besides, he's already got his love interest. T'Challa's got his love interest, right? And, it's Lupita Nyong'o. So I don't think they're ready to bring in Storm anyway. So there's that. Let's see. Collins E. writes, "Camped out 15 hours and slept on concrete for this movies panel. To me, it was worth it." Well, holy crap. That is some commitment right there, Collins. That is some commitment right there. And you know what? Thank you for putting that in perspective for me, because I should shut my stupid mouth when complaining about, it took me 80 minutes to be able to get to my seat because of all the confusion. And then you come along and tell me you slept on concrete for 15 hours. Well, don't that make me look like a world-class jackass? Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Man, if I were you, I'd be getting pissed off listening to me whine and cry about, I had to walk around the convention center 3-4 times. Took me over an hour, a whole hour. to be able to finally get to the part where they're able to let me into my seat because nobody knew where to send me and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, we got some hardcore fans sitting here and saying, I was in line for 15 hours on the concrete, you stupid son of a bitch, right? So thank you, Collins, for putting that into perspective for me, because you're right. I should shut my mouth when whining about 80 minutes. Aw, did you have to wait 80 minutes? I'll toast to you, sir, from where I slept last night on the concrete. Puts it in perspective. Now I feel like a total jackass, and rightfully so. But I'm glad you found it worth it, man. I'm totally glad you found it worth it. To me, that, again, I'm going to be gushing for the next while about that Raya. That Raya and The Last Dragon. I am going to be gushing about that for the next few months because I was so happy with it. And again, I was eating it up without any pictures, without any footage, just from the filmmaker on stage telling her story about what this movie is. And I felt like my blood flowing. I was just so excited about it. So that Ray image and the Raya stuff, that to me made the whole thing worth it. It really did. And then there were some pleasant surprises, like the Frozen 2 musical numbers and stuff. That was really good to see. The Onward stuff was really cool to see. There was a couple really good things, but those two things alone, Raya and the Rey with two lightsabers, or the red lightsaber, I should say, that made it worth it for me. So I'm glad you got in. I'm glad you had a good time, Collins. All right. B.W. Rosa writes, Disney seems to focusing Phase 4 mostly by TV. I mean, the big screen part of Phase 4 looks good too. By the way, do think Phase 5 starts Black Panther 2 in 2022? I guess so, I suppose. You know my attitude when it comes to phases. They're irrelevant. They don't actually mean anything. They're just arbitrary, artificial numbers put in place to not actually really even mean anything. But if Kevin Feige is saying that every movie coming in Phase 4 was already revealed, then it seems to stand to reason. I think you'd be right, BW. It stands to reason to then say, if Black Panther 2 is coming out in May, early May of 2022, that would stand to reason that would technically be the first film technically of Phase 5, I suppose. But again, I don't think it means anything. But I can't see any other movie coming out. I don't know that I see them putting out a movie in January, February, or March of 2022 that we haven't heard about yet. You know what I mean? So I think you're right, BW. I do. I think you're onto something there. All right. ZMG Ruler writes, what gets poo-pooed on more by fans, Sony or Warner Brothers? I mean, right now, Sony. Overall, probably Warner Brothers, though. Sometimes rightfully so, sometimes unfairly, as it is for every studio. Brock Cardwell writes, will the Disney Plus movies / TV shows like She-Hulk come out on DVD and Blu-ray for the people who can't get Disney Plus? I don't think so. I don't know that for a fact. But Rob and I have both speculated about that before, and we both think that they're not going to put this out on DVD. The whole reason they're making these movies and shows, remember, the whole purpose for making these movies and these TV shows that are going to be on Disney Plus is to get people to sign up for Disney Plus. What I think will happen, and I don't know this for sure, what I think will happen, Brock, is that if you live in a country where Disney Plus is not available, then they will probably license a lot of those shows out to other streaming networks that are in those countries right now until Disney Plus can go to those countries. The example that I give is that of CBS All Access with their Star Trek show, Star Trek Discovery. CBS All Access is not in every country, but people in those countries can still watch Star Trek Discovery because CBS All Access will license that show to, say, Netflix in that country or another service in that country. Not Netflix in the US, but Netflix in those countries so people can still see the shows. I suspect, although I don't know, I suspect they might do the same thing. But I'm guessing they are not going to put those things on Blu-ray or DVD because they specifically make them to get people to sign up for Disney Plus, and it would be counterproductive for them to just make them available on home media. Not to mention physical media is dying anyway. So I'm going to guess no, but it's certainly possible. It's possible, but my guess, just a guess, is no. BW Rosa writes, who do you think is the backup for no Spidey in the MCU? Oh, dude, they have 1,000 characters. They have thousands of characters. There is no backup for Spidey. They already have thousands of characters they can draw on for 1,000 different things they want to do. So I don't really think there is nobody they need as a backup. It's not like they only have 5 characters in the MCU. It's like, oh, we just lost one. We better replace that one. Well, they've got like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of characters. So I wouldn't worry about that. Willie Yang writes, are you sure you want Aaron as an enemy? Well, no, that's true. No, I do not want Aaron as an enemy. That is absolutely true. I would never want Erin Cummings as an enemy of mine. Fortunately, she is a friend of mine. I'm still going to stick with my pick, but I'm going to have to sleep with one eye open. Let's just say that, Willow. I'm going to have to sleep with one eye open. That's a very, very, very valid good point you just raised. All right. I Will 1991 writes, what are the chances of Namor coming to the MCU? Would love to see a Latveria versus Atlantis war. Also, how violent and bloody can they get with Moon Knight? You can, listen, as far as Namor goes, I fully expect that eventually he'll be back in the MCU. I fully expect that eventually he will be back in the MCU. How soon? I can't say, but I think eventually he'll be back. As far as how violent can they get, you can do a lot. Look, I've said this before, you can do a lot of violence with PG-13. There's a lot they let you get away with and stay PG-13. Obviously, they can't do enough that would put them into an R rating for the movies, because this is Disney Plus. It is going to be mostly family friendly and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how far they're able to go. Listen, honestly, I saw a lot of people yesterday talking about Moon Knight. It's like, Moon Knight is super violent. Yeah, that's true. But the core of Moon Knight is this incredible character. And that's the key thing. Yeah, there's a lot of violence in that stuff too, but the most important thing isn't the violence. The most important thing is this really cool character. And I think they can do that. Now look, I'm as surprised as anybody that they're doing Moon Knight on Disney Plus. I wouldn't have expected it. But they are doing it, and I think there's a lot they can do to keep it true to the comic. But look, some people get caught up in how violent it can be. The core important things about staying true to the comic is not how violent it is or isn't. It's the characters. And I think there's a way to do that. But I was still, look, I'm not going to lie though, I was still surprised. Michelle Alexandria writes, a deal doesn't have to be done next week. Exactly. As long as there is time, there is hope. There was look, a lot of people thought a deal would have been made by today. Some people falsely reported that a deal was already made. But the fact of the matter is there is no law anywhere that says if a deal isn't done by D23, you can never get one done. That's not true. That's not true. And they didn't need to have a deal done by today. And they don't have, as Michelle's pointing out, they don't need to have a deal done by next week. There's time. And when there's time, there's hope. All right, BW Rosa writes, why is Spider-Man the one that always gets screwed? Well, I mean, Spider-Man is just the one character that's in that, one of the few characters remaining that still is in that precarious situation of split, well, it's not even split rights. Sony holds all the cards here. Sony is the one with the rights. They can do whatever they want. It's up to Disney to be able to make a deal that's enticing enough, or at least not repulsive enough, to keep Sony at the table. But, I don't know. It does seem like poor Spidey's gone through a lot. But you know what? I'll say this. Is it really all that bad? Now think about this just for a second. And I'm not saying this is definitely the way it is. I'm just saying it's something to think about. people keep talking like, oh my God, Spider-Man's had to be rebooted so many times. Yeah, it's true. But when you think about it, is it really all that bad? Because of all the reboots, we've had Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, which were both fantastic, particularly Spider-Man 2. We got The Amazing Spider-Man 1 with Andrew Garfield, which I contend is a really good movie. Big critic ratings, big audience rating as well. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, not so much. As a result of all the reboots, we've got Homecoming and Far From Home, which are great. We got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made, in my opinion. So, while on the one hand, it does seem exasperating, the fact that we've had this character started and rebooted a number of times, but the results of those, reboots and everything have been that we've had Spider-Man 1 and 2, that we had The Amazing Spider-Man 1, that we had Homecoming and Far From Home, that we had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, there's been a lot of good that's come out of the rebooting. And who's to say if they reboot it again, we don't get to add yet another great set of movies from Spider-Man for it. So I get it. It's exasperating thinking about all the times it's been rebooted, but I think there's been some good that's come out of it as well. Well, again, I'm not sitting here saying, don't misquote me. John Campea saying it's a good thing that they have to reboot him again. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm saying if you're looking for the silver lining, the silver lining is we've gotten some really good things. Just think about it. If it wasn't for rebooted Spider-Man, we never would have had Homecoming. It's just there have been some good things that have come out of it. Again, this is just me looking at silver lining stuff. Let's see. Robert Perez writes, with everything new in Star Wars, her holding red sabers doesn't really mean she's turning to the dark side, does it? Today is my birthday, John, and I'm back in San Gabriel Valley. Have a good one. Well, first of all, happy birthday, Robert. I hope you're going to have a fabulous birthday and a terrific year ahead of yourself. And no, you're absolutely right. Her holding, having a dark cloak and holding red lightsabers, that does not mean she's gone to the dark side. Does not mean that. It might, which is in and of itself something amazing to talk about. But it does not automatically mean anything. Doesn't automatically mean anything. And I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind, Robert, that we see something in a trailer, we're seeing it out of context. You see a quick image that's out of context. Look, I just told you guys about this great shot of a rebel fleet coming out of a hyperspace and this huge fleet of like 50 Star Destroyers, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that there's a big epic battle. That could be a flashback to the early days of Palpatine in the Empire. Which, by the way, this might mean nothing. But I'll mention it. The Star Destroyers, when there's like a fleet of 50 Star Destroyers, they look like Imperial Star Destroyers, not Imperial Star Destroyers, not First Order Star Destroyers. I might be wrong, and that might not mean anything. I just thought it was interesting that the Star Destroyers that we saw in the trailer look like Imperial Star Destroyers, not First Order Star Destroyers. I just got to mention something, though. Michelle Alexandria just wrote in the live chat that, John, Kylo has the high ground in the poster, that's pretty funny. Okay, anyway, we move on here. The next one comes to us from, where do we go? Comes to us from Medi Major, who writes, hey, John, many sites reported that the footage from Episode 9 was going to be released online on Monday. Do you think we'll get the same footage you did? I don't see why not. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of surprised it's not online already. I kind of expected to come out of that panel to find out that Disney had already put it online, just like they did with the Mandalorian trailer yesterday. So I'm going to guess, again, I haven't been told anything. I will ask a Disney rep while I'm here. Do they plan on releasing that footage online? I'll ask. But I don't see why they wouldn't. So if some people are reporting that it's going to go up online on Monday, I don't see why we shouldn't believe it. It sounds good to me, so why not? Okay, but I don't personally know yet. The Googie One Productions writes, I like that name. What a sad D23, no live action news, Hunchback, etc. I don't know, man. The Disney Plus stuff was insane, and that was all live action. And there was some good stuff today too, but I'm not quite sure what you're getting at, because it's been pretty epic. Today was meh, but it was only meh when you compare it to yesterday, and yesterday was completely epic. It was just unbelievable, the stuff they showed us yesterday. All right, Sam O writes, and then we're winding things up here, guys. Sam O writes, will you make a top 3 cast predictions on who will play Moon Knight, She-Hulk, or Miss Marvel? No way, because I don't care. For those of you who watch me, you guys know I don't care about casting. I really don't. I don't care about X actor and X roles. I really don't. All I care about is that whoever they cast is a talented actor. That's all I care about. I don't personally get into, at least most of the time, I don't get into who I think should play this person and who I think should play that person. That's really not my thing, because my answer is usually always the same. I don't care. Just as long as whatever actor you put in there. Because here's the thing. I don't know what this Moon Knight is going to be like. So since I don't know the specifics of what this incarnation of Moon Knight is going to be in this show, I can't possibly guess who would be best to play it. I don't know how they're going to portray this She-Hulk, because there's a lot of different ways you could portray She-Hulk. And since I have no idea what the script calls for, it's impossible for me who I think would be a good fit. Same with Kamala Khan. Same with Miss Marvel. I don't know how they're really going to portray her. I don't know what her personality is like. I don't know how she comes across in the script. And since that's the case, I have no guess who could possibly be a good fit for that, So my attitude is usually I'll just trust them to do the casting and then hope that whoever they cast are talented performers. And as long as they're talented performers, then it's all good with me, So that's kind of my thing. All right, last question of the day, guys, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. Comes to us from Jose Miaz, who writes, can a Spider-Man TV series Disney Plus works? No, Disney cannot do anything live-action Spider-Man. What Disney can do is animated TV series. Disney can do animated TV series of Spider-Man, I believe. What they cannot do is anything live action with Spider-Man. That is strictly a purview of Sony. Sony has all the rights for that. Anything live action Spider-Man is under the umbrella of Sony. So as far as I know, the answer to that question is no. Anyway, that will do it for me, guys. I am now wrapped up. That is my final report from here at D23. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a couple things. Thanks for following me on Twitter as I was doing all my updating. Thank you for joining on the live stream yesterday. Thank you for joining in on the live stream today. I'm just super impressed that the internet here in the hotel held up and everything worked the way it's supposed to work. Yay! So forgive me for the poor production quality and all that kind of stuff, but I am doing it from a hotel room. So thank you for your patience, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to spend, Anne hasn't got here yet, so I'm sure she's going to be getting here anytime. I'm going to spend the next day and a half relaxing, spending time with my wife, maybe go hang out in Disneyland, maybe go to see Galaxy's Edge for a 4th time, eat some good food and relax. And we're going to have one hell of a show on the John Campea Show on Monday, guys. That I'm looking forward to a lot. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. Me, Chris, and Robert are going to be there. Loads of stuff. We might as well call it the Robert Meyer Burnett pisses himself about Moon Knight show. That's what we should. Should we just do that now? Should we just officially title Monday's John Campea Show Robert Meyer Burnett pisses himself over Moon Knight? I think that's probably be appropriate. Anyway, guys, that does it for me for today. Thank you again so much for your support and for being here, guys. Thank you to all you guys who sent in the super chats because you gave us stuff to talk about, and also you supported the channel while you were doing it. Thank you for that. Thank you for putting up with my brain only being half here because I'm clearly so ridiculously tired. So thank you for putting up with my nonsense today. That's it for me for now, guys. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.